She was young, full of life, and loved the outdoors. But one hiking trip changed everything. A hiker vanished without a trace, and no one could explain how. What no one knew was that a hidden camera had been recording the entire time. What the footage revealed would leave everyone shocked, disturbed, and desperate for answers. The story begins on a bright morning. The woman set off on her hike, smiling, carrying her backpack, and recording parts of her journey on her phone. She looked happy, calm, and excited. Nothing seemed unusual, but that calm day would soon turn into a chilling mystery that even experts struggled to solve. At first, everything looked normal in the camera footage. Birds chirped, the trees swayed gently in the wind, and the woman followed the trail deeper into the woods. But after some time, strange details began to appear in the background. Shadows moved where no one should have been, and the sound of faint footsteps echoed behind her. When the woman stopped to take a drink of water, the camera caught something unusual. For a second, a figure seemed to appear far in the distance, almost blending with the trees. It was tall, silent, and standing completely still. The hiker never noticed it, but the camera did. As the hours passed, the woman began to look uneasy. She glanced behind her more often, as if she felt she wasn't alone. The path grew darker, even though the sun was still up. Leaves crunched in places where she hadn't stepped, and the air seemed heavier, quieter, more unsettling. The footage revealed her pace quickening. She clutched her backpack straps tighter, scanning the woods around her. Something was definitely wrong. Her breathing grew heavier, and at one point, she whispered something under her breath, as if trying to calm herself. The camera captured everything. Suddenly, she stopped. The sound of branches snapping echoed through the trees. She turned her head sharply toward the noise, her eyes wide. But the camera caught something horrifying. For just a second, a shadowy figure moved quickly between the trees, almost too fast for the eye to follow. The hiker tried to convince herself it was just her imagination, but her fear grew stronger. She pulled out her phone and recorded a short video, saying she felt like she was being followed. Her voice trembled. This clip would later be found on her phone, chilling everyone who heard it. As night began to fall, the hidden camera showed the woman setting up a small campfire. But even then, she didn't look safe. Her eyes darted into the darkness as she sat close to the flames. The sound of faint whispers seemed to drift through the woods, though it was unclear whether they were real or just tricks of the night. The most terrifying part came hours later. The woman's fire burned low, and her head began to nod as she grew tired. Then, in the background, something stepped closer, moving just outside the glow of the flames. The camera caught its shape, something tall, thin, and unnaturally still watching her in complete silence. The woman woke suddenly, as if sensing something nearby. Her eyes scanned the woods, but she saw nothing. The camera, however, revealed the truth. Just beyond the dim light of her dying fire, the figure was there again, unmoving, watching. The sight was chilling, and yet she remained unaware. Minutes passed in silence until the sound of her backpack being nudged echoed in the footage. She gasped, quickly pulling it closer, her hands trembling. She looked around desperately, whispering into the dark, "Who's there?" But there was no reply, only the heavy silence of the forest pressing in. The camera continued rolling as her fear grew unbearable. She decided to leave camp in the middle of the night, clutching her flashlight and moving quickly along the trail. The beam shook in her hands, cutting through the thick darkness, but never revealing what stalked her from behind. As she hurried along the trail, the hidden camera picked up faint breathing, not hers, but something deeper, slower, almost animal-like. It followed her every step. She began to cry softly, whispering prayers under her breath, as though she knew her time was running out. Then, the footage captured a horrifying moment. Her flashlight beam caught a pair of glowing eyes for just a split second, before they vanished into the dark. She screamed and broke into a run, the camera catching every shaky moment as she stumbled and gasped for air. Her phone's last video showed her running, whispering, "It's following me. It won't stop." The words were barely audible, her voice almost lost in her own panicked breathing. This was the final recording found on her phone. The hidden camera, however, revealed much more. It showed her sprinting through the trees until suddenly she stopped, frozen in fear. The figure emerged behind her, tall and shadowy, moving silently. until it stood only a few feet away. Her scream pierced the nighttime, then the camera glitched. When the footage returned, the trail was empty. No hiker, no figure, no sound. Just the empty forest swaying under the moonlight. She was gone, vanished as though she had never been there at all. Days later, rescuers searched the woods. They found her backpack, torn and lying in the dirt. Her phone was discovered with the final video still saved. But her body was never found, and the hidden camera remained the only witness to her last moments. To this day, no one knows what the figure was or how it followed her without being seen. Some believe it was a person, others say it was something far darker, something not human. But one thing is certain. The camera didn't lie, and the hiker's disappearance remains one of the most chilling mysteries ever caught on tape. The footage soon spread online, and people from all over the world watched it in disbelief. Some viewers claimed that they could see more than one figure in the background, hidden among the trees. Others swore they heard faint voices calling her name, layered within the forest sounds. Experts were brought in to analyze the video. Some dismissed it as tricks of light and sound, while others admitted that certain details couldn't be explained. The glowing eyes, the sudden glitches, and the way the figure seemed to disappear without a trace left, even professionals puzzled. The locals, however, weren't surprised. Many had told stories for years about strange encounters deep in those woods. Tales of people hearing whispers, feeling watched, and sometimes never returning. For them, the camera only confirmed what they had always feared. Friends and family of the hiker were devastated. They remembered her as someone full of joy, who loved adventure and believed the outdoors brought peace. To think her final moments were filled with fear and confusion made the loss even harder to bear. Online forums lit up with theories. Some said it was a wild animal, unlike any known species. Others believed it was paranormal, a ghost, a spirit, or even a creature from folklore. A few conspiracy theorists suggested it was part of a secret experiment gone wrong. The most chilling detail was how the figure behaved. It never attacked directly in the open. It stalked, followed, and waited. Almost as if it wanted her to know she wasn't alone. As if it fed on her fear before finally making her vanish. Authorities eventually closed the case, calling it an unsolved disappearance. But the video remains circulating across the internet, with new viewers each day spotting details others have missed. Some say if you watch closely, you can even see a hand reach out in the final seconds. Today, hikers still visit those woods, though many refuse to go after dark. Some claim to feel watched. Others say they've heard soft whispers in the distance. A few have even left the forest in tears, swearing they saw a tall shadow moving between the trees. The hiker's story has become a warning. It reminds us that nature, while beautiful, can also hide secrets we are not meant to understand. And that sometimes, the scariest things are not what we see, but what we don't. So the question remains, what really happened to the hiker? Was it a person, a creature, or something beyond our world? We may never know. But one thing is certain, the camera was watching. And what it recorded still haunts everyone who dares to press play.